Hello, it's always a pleasure to sit here for 90 minutes, about 2 hours really, and chat with you on very topical issues. Now, when I say chat, it means simply that you and I will be having a conversation, you on the other side of the divide. And the truth is that today's topic is something that is of concern to all of us, because it means that we need to move Nigeria forward with today's topic. What is the topic? Vocation and of course technical development here in Nigeria, especially with regards to our schools, our curriculum. Back in the days, we were all made to fabricate one thing or the other as a handiwork. That's what they called it then, and we present it to the teacher. Today, is that still, being practiced? It is a question we must all answer, because at the end of the day, even something as little as fixing the tiles on the floor, doing the plastering on our walls, doing the POPs, welding, all of that, we go outside Nigeria to bring technical men. And the greatest part of this is that these people are not even, well educated, so to speak, going to university. In Nigeria, we have a lot of professors in engineering, really. I want to stress that, whose ACs will spoil and they still look for that guy on the street to fix it. Is that the right thing to do? I don't know. But we intend to look at that as our focus for today and see if we can grow just the way China has grown and bring back the glory of Nigeria when it comes to our skills and our talents. Let's quickly take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking the vocation schools and of course technical schools and what they mean to our growth. To say that for every nation they must grow in the technology and of course vocation must be placed at the forefront is to say nonetheless the obvious. A lot of countries have grown because they all invested in this. Are we still being pushed by oil? Why are we still being pushed by certificates rather than skills, talent? China did it, and they are creating, wealth for themselves and of course other nations. Why can't Nigeria do it? I don't know, but building a brighter future using good technology and vocational skills of the youth is our focus, and to help us discuss that, Francis Ogbe will be guiding us with the background there.
Education is considered by many as an agent of human and socio-economic development of any nation. However, the kind of education that can meet the challenges of present-day society is technical and vocational education.
We have produced a lot of people who are having academic qualifications. They have theoretical knowledge, but the average person who graduates from secondary school do not have a skill. So you find that somewhere along the line, we have lost those skills and those competencies. The teachers in schools do not know the skills.
The genesis of vocational education in Nigeria dates back to pre-colonial era. People adopted it to meet their daily needs, and it was even practiced in families while training in it occurred under apprenticeship system. However, missionary schools excluded it from the curriculum in favor of literary education.
In the old time, who are those who produce the bows and the arrows? Who are those who are good with woodcraft? Who are those who are good with metal craft? So you find that even from the primitive time, everybody had to do something that adds value to all the needs that the society needs at large and all the needs that you will need as individual. If you are a tailor, all your children become tailor. They help their parents. If you are a hunter, everybody becomes a hunter. If you are a goldsmith, everybody becomes a goldsmith. But somewhere along the line, there was the wrong education, I would call it. Education was no longer considered holistic education, where skills have to go, what I can do with my hands, how I can survive and make money should not be separated from the theoretical learning of other reading skills I need, comprehension skills, communication skills, and some of those skills that we learn. You have a situation, from what account I have heard from some people, and parents will say, me, I am already suffering. Don't suffer like me. What should you do? Or yeah, you go to school and learn.
Currently, private developers and homeowners, for instance, have relied on foreign workers such as carpenters, furniture makers, tilers, and spray painters to complete their homes, as well as range of engineering-focused skills, including fitters, welders, and electricians.
If you want to repair your bridges, who are the people who form the masons, the bricklayers? Who are the artisans that you find over there? And you find that if you look at the construction industries, most often than not, the experts who come from abroad do not trust the people you have trained. So they have to come with their own, even low-level people. But I know there was this particular time here in Abuja where I know in one of the buildings that I was familiar with, I find that a lot of the POP experts are Togolese. And so somewhere along the line, and I did a study when I was the state commissioner, and part of that was a partnership conversation we're having with Ghana. My study and my search around Nigeria on who can teach skills brought the domain that it is easier for you to learn skills at a professional expert level in our neighboring country, Ghana.
In 1977, the federal government of Nigeria issued the first national policy on education. This policy has favored the development of vocational education in the country since its formation. The current issue of this policy seeks to achieve the 5 goals which emphasize technological development of Nigeria and subsequently provide solutions to the prevailing economic problems.
In 2017, the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adults and Non-Formal Education reviewed the policy on non-formal education, and you will find there again that from the policy provision, non-formal education equivalent to formal education was conceived. But from 2018, where the National Skills Qualification Framework was formally launched in Nigeria, you would find that there is still a lot of gaps in how much people know about these institutional arrangements. Even though the national policy have said children to the age of 12 or 15, basic education. Children, after that one, there's 3 years of senior secondary education. And after that, I can have tertiary education, whether within a university or within a specialized learning field like polytechnics, colleges of nursing, colleges of education, and the like of them.
Technical and vocational education is the engine of economic growth, and Nigeria cannot develop without well-equipped technical and vocational institutions.
Can we start a new ideology? A new ideology of, rather than give you 50,000 naira, why not pay the teacher to teach you a skill? Why not create opportunity for you to earn money while you are there? And then you are transferring the responsibility to the individual for his own survival. And our first pilot in 2018 was a success. By the time we were graduating the first set of students, the NAPTEP coordinator in Lokoja came to us and said, have you heard of skills certification? We do modular skills exam. Would you want to get these people registered in the exam? We said, why not? Now, these are people who did not go to school. Some of them dropped out. Some of them were elderly. And we found that it was convenient for skills to be tested without the other one. And we also thought, okay, now, if you have to learn skills for about 9 months, 6 months, 1 year, it's enough time for you to learn how to read and write. So our first pilot was a success. How many mothers? When I was growing up, my mother tells me every woman should have a sewing machine in her house. How many women have sewing machines or even bother to think we have to take responsibility? The realities of Nigeria have taught us that a problem in one side is everybody's problem. The people we allow to go out of schools without skills, tomorrow will mount the roads and then they will extort all of us.
Everyone needs to learn valuable hands-on skills because in the long run, these skills can act as a means in which income is generated. Therefore, our focus on Weekend Deal today will be on the state of technical and vocational education in Nigeria.
All right, it's still a Weekend Deal, and thank you for that beautiful package, Francis Ogbe. I have a guest in the studio with me, and even before we, brought him on board on air, he's been teaching me a whole lot of things. And I said to myself, I love teachers who teach inside the class, outside the class, and all round. All right, he is Professor Idris Mohammed Bugaji. He is the Executive Secretary, National Board for Technical Education. He is a whole lot of things that I know that you and I will benefit from, as he speaks to us, Nigeria in general. But before I let him talk, let me quickly bring in something that has been bugging all of us. We all want to learn something. Meanwhile, there is nowhere to go and learn. A senior colleague of mine actually expressed concern because he wanted his son to go learn a particular skill. And in the whole of Abuja, there's no place to learn that. Let's see what that means for us when it comes to development. Tete, is your game now.
With the unemployment rate rising to as high as 35% in 2021, a lot of Nigerians, both formally and informally educated, have opted for vocational skills to make ends meet. But in a country obsessed with being addressed as doctor, engineer, professor, and other formal prefixes, how is the vocational skill sector accepted in Nigeria?
Let me take us back to the days, back in the days where we were much younger, there was this discrimination about the school you attend. Now, if you come out and say, maybe your peer get to ask you, where are you schooling? And you tell them, I'm schooling at Federal Government College, this or that. There's this high esteem, the way they look at you, you understand? Then when you tell them that, okay, I'm in a government secondary school, there's a way they look down on you. Then to worsen it all, if you now say, I'm in a technical college, they'll just look at you like one artisan, like this guy went to school to just go and learn handwork. And it's not supposed to be so. In Nigeria alone, we have over 100 technical schools. And some of them are well equipped, but are not functional to capacity. You understand? So I think people are just all about, you go to school, get a certificate, and just move. But right now, with the present state of the nation, with the kind of generation we are right now, it's very, very, very important, because right now it is not the times that we are now is a time whereby, as a mediocre, it will be very difficult for you to survive.
Even though things have improved in recent times as regarding the prestige given to certificates from technical colleges, university degrees are always placed on a higher pedestal. But the truth remains that vocational education adds value to these degrees.
But there's more to it. I studied fine arts, I majored in sculpture, did first degree, second degree. But I now realize that in the society that we live in, it might be very, very difficult, relatively, to survive as an artist, solely producing art. It works for some people, but it cannot work for everybody. So I decided that, okay, instead of creating only art, because there are times whereby you get commissions, there are times whereby you do exhibition, but what happens when you don't get those commissions? So I decided that, okay, why not deviate a bit, you understand? I said, okay, as a sculptor, I can weld, you understand? Why not work on myself, train under welders that are very good at what they do, and put a little more effort and aesthetics into what I do. So now, when you see what I create and you compare it to what other people create, you see you see disparity, because I'll take my time when it comes to finishing and all that. And that has also helped me to encourage youth. You understand? I've encouraged youth. I remember I started taking IT students since 2019. I've trained a number of IT students. I take normal youths that maybe they just finished, graduated from secondary school and they're still waiting for results, or people that just finished and don't have anything to do. I train them. I train them how to weld, I train them how to fabricate, and it's been it gives me joy, you understand?
As technology continues to advance, so do the different job opportunities, especially in the vocational sector. So it is only smart to establish programs that help facilitate these numerous opportunities.
The educational system here is more like certificates. Most people don't really have any skills, as in, by the time they're done with school, they can't do anything for themselves. And that's why the level of crime and unemployment is so much. Because if you're skilled in what you do, you're skilled, or you have skill acquisition, without a white-collar job, you can actually make a meaningful living by creating something out of nothing.
That being said, it is a known fact that the higher the productivity of a country, the higher a country's GDP, hence a more viable economy.
White collar job. Sometimes I wonder why it is actually called white collar job and if it still holds water. Well, that's a question you'll answer us as we go along. And just formally welcoming Professor Idris Mohammed Bugaji, the Executive Secretary, National Board for Technical Education, in the studio. And I want to start by asking, what is the mandate of your place? That's the National Board for Technical Education.
Thank you very much. The National Board for Technical Education, NBTE, has the mandate of supervising and regulating 678 technical vocational education and training institutions across Nigeria. This covers about 151 polytechnics, made up of about 35 federal polytechnics, 51 state polytechnics, and the rest are private polytechnics. We also supervise monotechnics. There are over 100 of them, 33 colleges of agriculture, about 51, what do you call them? These are colleges of health and schools of nursing. They are all under the MBTE purview, as well as specialized institutions like the aviation training institutions, the Petroleum Training Institute in Warri, the Air Force Training Institute in Kaduna, etc., etc.
Now you go to a polytechnic, you have people studying political science, banking and finance.
So many things.
Studying English education, studying all manner of things. How does that, how did that come into the curriculum in the first place?
Well, polytechnics are actually focused to deliver 70% technical and engineering courses and only 30% non-technical. We are doing our best to ensure that mix is maintained. If we go to accreditation, we will not even give you approval until you have that correct mix. Minimum of 70% engineering and science related courses, while the remaining 30% can be in accounting, management, and the rest of them. But some polytechnics are also doing some extra illegalities, like doing polytechnic diplomas in these different areas you have mentioned. These are not accredited programs by the MBTE, and they are not recognized by the public scheme of service. And therefore, we have already written to the polytechnics, all of them, to stop offering those polytechnic diplomas, and that they should only offer the national diploma, which has been approved and accredited. Otherwise, it's an illegality. So there are a lot of issues around the polytechnics. We also need to give more funding to the polytechnics. Sincerely, if you go to any typical polytechnic, all the equipment were bought 30, 40 years ago. You don't find new equipment. Equipments have changed. If you go to a mechanical workshop, we're using the colonial days lathe milling drilling machines. Today, the world is using CNC machines, computerized CNC machines, which can produce with precision. But our trainees are not given that exposure. When you come to welding, we are using very archaic equipment for training them on welding. Today, they are using lasers for welding, undersea welding, and the rest of them in the oil and gas sector. So there are a lot of issues. It's the funding issues. If you look at the funding for the Polytechnic, is dismally low. Universities get more chunk. Even when government gives intervention like in TED Fund, they give twice to the universities what they give to the Polytechnic. While to train a product from the Polytechnic will cost you more than twice than to train somebody in the university system. So I think there is a misplacement of priority. Those who are allocating these funds have not understood the value of technical and vocational education, and we really need to realize that very, very early, very seriously, so that we can be able to give more funding to skills training in our polytechnics.
When you talk about misplacement of priorities,
yes,
it doesn't just happen in the funding. You're observing the funding, but I'm sitting down here and I can tell you there's still a whole lot of misplacement when it comes to treatment of people who hold the HND and those who have the BSc. In most establishments, they are not promoted beyond certain capacity.
Level. Yes.
And these people are supposed to have spent even extra year.
Yeah.
Why do we have this disparity, and what is going? I know at the point it was being talked about.
Yeah.
And it's not yet
that is also another syndrome of underdevelopment that is exhibiting itself in Nigeria, because if you go to other developed countries, nobody even bothers about your degree or whatever. They look at your skills, what your hands can deliver, and that's what the HND holders have an advantage even over the degree holders in terms of hands-on skills. So they should even be more valued. If you go to industry, even in Nigeria, they prefer to employ HND holders. It's only in the public service, that the government public service, that this discrimination is taking place. And this is simply because the public service in Nigeria is dominated by degree holders. That's the basic reason. They do not want to allow the HND. When you have your HND, that is your qualification. Throughout your career, you'll undergo a number of courses and training. You go for conferences, workshops, the same courses and workshops that the degree holder holds. So I see no reason why they should be, truncated to either grade level 14 or grade level 12, and there's, they cannot be promoted beyond that. This is really a serious sign of underdevelopment. There's a bill in the National Assembly trying to remove this disparity, to allow the HND holder to reach the highest level. One day we would like the HND holder to become the head of service of this federation, so that they can be given that proper recognition. The HND holder should become the rector of a polytechnic, because HND is the product produced by the polytechnics. At the moment, HND holders do not have that ability, or they are not given the chance to rise to the highest level. This is very unfortunate. So I think there is need for us to change, the way we treat our HND holders, and also there is need for government to remove this discrimination. Discrimination will not take us anywhere. Every developed country is not doing that, and why should Nigeria continue with this kind of attitude? I think we better change that.
Okay, we will definitely change it, because it's embarrassing that I am in the process and I cannot even get to the apex of that process. It's not funny at all. But let's quickly find out from Ibadan if you have enough training and trading center for artisans. And when we come back, the talk continues.
The reality of the present-day world has further laid credence to the pivotal role of technical and vocational education to the development of any society. Through this form of learning, marketable skills are acquired by individuals, thus bridging the demand and supply gap with highly skilled workers who can drive the economy of any country. If properly explored, acquisition of technical and vocational skills is a gold mine and a major way of diversifying the economy. Olanre is one of the many young Nigerians who have tapped into the idea of taking up a skill which he started from his days in school. Today, he's an entrepreneur and employer of labor.
I thought it wise that developing this kind of building myself in this area will help me, and I can grow easily. So for me, the youths, what if I want to encourage them is that identify your area of interest. To be sincere is not going to be easy. at the starting point, when you are starting, you face a lot of challenges.
Unfortunately, Nigeria as a country is yet to explore and harness the humongous potentials embedded in the technical and vocational education.
Government designed the national policy on education that laid emphasis on technical and vocational education for the first time in the history of Nigeria. That was in 1977. And 6334 was the baby of this new national policy. Emphasis was laid specifically on skill development, especially at the GSS level. But all of a sudden, in the year 2008, they just changed its policy. 934. But along the line, things were not moving as supposed to move. So in the year 2006, they said all tertiary institutions must establish vocational skill and entrepreneurship centers. At the Polytechnic Ibadan here, I think we have about 15 different trades. Barbing is there, cosmetology is there, catering and confectionaries, transportation and logistics, big block laying and concreting, pure water production and marketing, and so on and so forth.
Though different programs and policies have been introduced by government at one time or the other, not much have been achieved due to inconsistency and lack of seriousness, making those lofty ideas a mountain to climb. Importation of skilled workers from other countries remains one of the greatest impediments to the realization of the immense benefits of technical and vocational skills acquisition. Many artisans today who have been badly affected by the situation and have turned to commercial motorcyclists as a quick fix to their economic problem.
The government should discourage such a thing when we have competent hands on ground, and we invite expatriates to come and do some things for us. There are some things we can do without necessarily calling our expatriates. We are quality experts in our own area here, but we don't have that trust in Nigerians, engineers, technicians, technologists, and so on and so forth. Until we do that one, it will never change.
But I think we need to remove the psyche, remove the way we think and the way we see ourselves. We need a system that will value excellence over mediocrity.
As Nigeria seeks solution out of the current economic crisis and the high unemployment rate in the country, it won't be out of place for government to prioritize the holistic implementation of technical and vocational education at all levels of our educational system as a way of placing the country on the path of economic prosperity.
All right, the show is Weekend Deal, and coming back from Ibadan, we still have Professor Idris here with us. And Prof, you know, you and I have been doing a lot of banter behind. The talk will not end. And I'm just thinking how a fish can be in the water and get drowned. You know, the fish can be in the water if a fish uses soap, and soap will get into his eyes.
Yes.
What do I mean? You go to the polytechnics where it's recognized officially as the home of technical vocation, everything, skills, talent to the top. And meanwhile, when they need to fix buildings in the schools, fix ordinary AC in the schools, they call a technician who is artisans outside the school. That person holds a contract.
Yes.
And there are students who are there.
Yes.
Something as little as cleaning the AC, with my unknowledgeable skills, I can do it.
Yes.
Why are we doing that?
Well, I think simply is because the polytechnic managers are not technologically based. Most of the head of departments, lecturers in the polytechnic system, almost all of them are degree holders. They are not from the polytechnic. The polytechnic products are limited to being technologists in their own system. This is most unfair, and that's why the polytechnics have failed to move to the next level. So there is need really to allow HND holders to become assistant lecturers in the polytechnic. Let them rise to be chief lecturers, because this is their own system and they'll be the best to fix it. If you bring a degree holder with master's, PhD in a polytechnic, ask him to be the head of department, he cannot drive that department very well, because he doesn't have the background. He has not gone through that process. So for that reason, we are proposing to government that in the new scheme of service, HND holders should be allowed to enter the academic arena of polytechnics as assistant lecturers, not as technologists anymore, and then allow them to grow to the highest level. And then besides that, we have to also get our polytechnics to realize the value of skills training. It is not enough you just offer ND, HND certificates. You should also create avenue for the training on skills, specific skills, welding and fabrication, GSM repairs, construction skills, tiling, POP, mason, etc., iron bending, etc. All these are skill sets which you need to train and certify your students, so that your students will graduate with a national diploma and with a certificate on a particular skill.
This thing you're saying, I am actually quite interested in this, because if I'm sick,
yes,
and I go into a teaching hospital,
yes,
that's a demonstration place for students. Yeah. I believe I've gone to the highest,
exactly,
and I'll get the best,
yes,
because the best of the professors and all of that are there with a team of young people.
Exactly.
But I think I've never seen anybody who is, for instance, trying to do tiling, ordinary floor tiling, go into a polytechnic and say, please give me a tiler.
Yeah, because polytechnics have focused on certificates these days, ND, HND without the skills content. Not only that, they are not also imbibing the NSQF, the Nigerian Skills Qualification Framework, which allows us to train young Nigerians on specific skills and give them certificate on that. We have made it a duty in the MBT that from 2023, any polytechnic that does not have a skills training program, we shall not do accreditation for the diploma programs. This is to drive them and to push them to open training avenues on skills. A very few ones are doing skills training. Kaduna Polytechnic, Yaba Tech, and some XMPTI Wari, they are doing skills training, whereby a student will come, spend 6 months, do training on a particular skill. Today's skills training has become super specific. Pick a particular trade, get qualification training on it, get proficiency in it, get certification for that.
It's very funny, because when we finish doing our BSc, we come out, there's no job.
Yes.
We still go back to go and do apprentice somewhere to learn tailoring, hairdressing, which would have actually done in the university, in the polytechnic, and get certified for it. Now, there's something I'm thinking about, and I don't know, a lot of people also think about it. There's a lot of competitions going on where huge sum of money is placed. I don't want to begin to name them, for people to go on air, probably get naked, probably do one thing or the other, and they are paid for being so vain. Vanity competition, I call them. They are paid huge sums of money. And I'm thinking, if we can use some of this money and pay people to display and create and innovate, we could have another China happening in Nigeria.
Surely.
NTA, for instance, has what we call the Expo, Children Expo, every year. And children are challenged to bring out a whole lot. Nobody is picking up these children to groom them. Meanwhile, they are boarding talents. What is your board doing about this?
Well, the MBTE has started doing something very important in that direction, trying to identify innovations across our polytechnics. Early this year, we opened a hall. We call it Research and Innovation Hall, whereby polytechnics that have credible innovations can now bring it there for exhibition. And before the end of the year, we intend to call for a forum, a kind of round table with business, tycoons, so that they can come and look at these innovations more closely and see which one they are going to pick, for commercialization. Some of our polytechnics have produced like 3D printers. 3D printer, it's not only printing inside your lab, but in the future, building construction is going to be done by 3D printers. You don't need to suffer yourself doing all those artisan works. You know, somebody has developed, some students, in fact, HND students in Kaduna Polytechnic have developed a 3D printer. It's being exhibited there. Somebody has developed an electric motorbike, a youth copper. It's being exhibited there. Somebody has brought equipment for COVID interventions. It's being exhibited there. We're inviting the business tycoons and other, you know, interested parties to come and look at that exhibition hall. It's open throughout the year, and before end of the year, we are going to call a round table. We are going to encourage those innovations to be moved into, you know, commercialization, so that these products can reach the markets. I gave the example of one young man in Maiduguri who developed an electric bus. He didn't even wait for the National Automotive Master Plan to intervene for him. He reproduced about 10, 20 of them. And he's already making it. He said within 2 years, he's going to recoup his investment. And he's charging half what other taxi drivers are charging in Maiduguri. And it's working for him. So these are the kind of things we need, talents that we need to identify in Nigeria. Bring in funding to support them so that they can hit the market. This is the only way Nigeria can grow its own technology. At the moment, Nigeria is only consuming technology developed by other countries, but it doesn't mean we don't have the talents. We have very talented.
We have giant talents.
We have giant talents, but they're not harnessed properly.
I always say the man who created the fastest computer is still a Nigerian, and his patency has been given to him since 2015 till now. So I'm looking forward to when we will be able to do the same for young people who are doing so much. Thank you very much for coming on the board. I wish I can chat with you, but you know, as a teacher, you never get tired of talking. You've been doing this since 1983.
Since 83, I've been in the classroom.
That's a nice one. So we've been having this wonderful conversation that I know will translate into action real soon with the Executive Secretary, National Board for Technical Education, the president of Professor Idris Mohammed Bugaji.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. In NTA, especially Weekend Deal, we recognize the fact that you and I need to relax a little bit sometimes, and we'll do that by paying bills and taking some promos. Let's go. Weekend Deal. All right. Today, we want to ensure that when we are done by this weekend, come Monday, all who are inclined in terms of technicalities, technology, vocational, will put that to good use. And of course, forces that help this grow will also sit up and ensure that we take Nigeria to the greater heights. And talking about Nigeria, the program goes around the country. Right about now, I'll be moving into Benin to get to find out the challenges of fabrication. I know when I was in Benin, I think I bought lovely, you know, duvets there. I bought lovely couches there as well, and I know they do real good. But what is your challenge? Let's see.
I think we have done well in terms of empowerment regarding to our own youth in the state and the local. Even in this community we are, so we have also trained so many people without agreement, without any form from them. We just train them, they go. So far, there's no year we cannot pay out to 500,000-600,000 to government. As of today, we have about 8 generators, also diesel. There's no month here we will not go run over 1.something million naira in diesel. And even the money I run in diesel is even more lower than the one I spend on salary.
Materials are cost, so how you buy, that is how you sell. A day, I spend more than 25,000 naira per diesel for a day. So we want government support, but we need their support. We don't have light, no light. You know, without light, there's nothing we can do with fabrication business.
We are impacting in the state economy by, first of all, taking the youth mostly out of the streets, thereby reducing the rate of crime in the society. And also, we are building the future of the society. The youths here are learning how to produce, how to be responsible, how to stand on their own, how to be independent financially and otherwise.
Because of those artifacts they are returning, we now have value, a little value. People now know that this thing is a treasure. So people normally travel from abroad to this place to come and see how we do it. If not because of those artifacts they are returning, there was nothing like value at all.
Our outdoor here now is more superior than the China. Even when we don't get support, and we have the best quality now, so far indoor.
If the government will at least get the young ones in school involved in vocational training, I think it will go a long way. We also know that some of our people don't want to go to school and they don't want to learn. But few are still in school. That the government will put a policy that people like this, let them go and learn vocational training. If the government go down to the people that are really doing the job, they will get quality people to teach those that want to learn.
Okay, so in the studio, I was just trying to chat of my guest and document a few things about him. And this man is important to me. I'm sure a lot of engineers will be looking out to ask questions. The lines are open. You can always ask your questions, and he's here to take them directly. I am talking about the former president, Koren. That's a council for regulation of engineering here in Nigeria, and he's engineer Kazim Ali. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, I'm tempted to ask a very silly question, but I'll let it be and put it the other way around. Okay. Why are buildings collapsing on a daily basis in Nigeria?
They are collapsing because the right people are not the ones building them, number one. They are some others are collapsing because they have exceeded their shelf life. And some are collapsing because they are being abused. A whole lot of
Nigerians.
Yeah, because some of them are being abused.
A lot of times, like you mentioned, people say the wrong people are doing the job. Mm-hmm. And what I interpret that to be is that that person is not properly trained for it.
That's right.
Now, moving into our polytechnics, our faculties of engineering, where the builders are domiciled, be it road, civil engineering, whatever kind of engineering are domiciled. I was pained by what I saw. Parts of the things they use for training are not available. In fact, very important ones are not available. Where they are available, they are obsolete. How does that help with the engineers when they graduate?
Those were the situations we met, and we engaged in governors forum then, because those things are within the concurrent legislative list. So technical colleges mainly belong to the states. Mm-hmm. To try to appeal to them to do something, because it's one way of harnessing the resources of the human resources that abound. Because over the year we found that there has been a lot of, there are so many births now. Mm-hmm. It's not like in a time where when people give birth, you run there, you go and greet them, you won't hear again until another time. But now, as you are hearing one, you are hearing another one that one that has not even a husband or no wife. Everybody is just giving birth. So we have a large army of people that are not well catered for. So this would be an opportunity for state governments to take care of these people. So some could go into vocations, while some could go to technical training, because there has to be a division between those two. It often will lump them, because vocation is a situation where an individual maybe without any basic education, maybe perhaps primary education, wants to learn a skill, particular skill. He wants to do POP, and he learns it and does it very well. That's his skill. Then, if he chooses to go forward, he can go now to technical training, where he have opportunity to have a bit of the fundamentals, some basic theories, and then even expand his scope in terms of moving to other things he could add to his skill or improving his skill, because sometimes the human mind is so fertile and capable of so many things. If you look at how certain things were done before, some 10 years ago, even the POP, basic thing like POP, it's not the way it was done that time that it's being done now. Not with any extra training, but people have, with experience, found that look, we can use POP even on walls. We could use POP on to create decorations in houses, now not just the roof again. So this happen with human beings, but we've not created that opportunity, unfortunately, for people. And it's simple. I agree with Professor Bugaji in terms of the kind of human resource in technical colleges and people who are not skilled in those areas heading those institutions and not inspiring them. And of course, many again who are even skilled have lost interest. So they're only there because they need to be promoted. Somebody wants to bear the title of principal. So if you give me principal, I'm there. You don't give me money, I can go and do other things. But at least my title is principal.
Okay, so now you mentioned the polytechnics, like he made reference to the first guest. I want to take us a little bit back to one of the programs of a polytechnic. That's the internship. It's one thing every one of them look forward to. But let's find out from Dayo. Dayo, what is the place of internship in the vocational training?
Artisans and technicians form a very large percentage of the population of any society. They do the hard work that contributes to the functions in the society. They build our houses, fix our cars, make our clothes, fix gadgets and faults in our homes, and so on. In other words, they contribute to making the lives of people enjoyable in the society. Besides, artisanship and vocational skills enhances the relevance and functionality of individuals in the society, promoting their economic survival and vibrancy, and thereby playing a vital and indispensable role in national development.
There was once a country in which we had functional technical schools, secondary school, strictly for technical training. There was also a time we had functional polytechnics in which a lot of artisans were being trained in different trades, bricklaying, tiling, and different forms of trades were being promoted. But increasingly, because of poor funding for public education, then the distortion of the curriculums of our secondary, tertiary education, increasingly less emphasis is being laid on vocational skill acquisition. And today we can see the results. It's not unusual now to see us importing skilled hands from Benin Republic, from Togo. Not unusual now to even have bricklayers being imported from Ghana. If you take the case of China, that has been the miracle of China. The transformation of China has a lot to do with massive investment in education and above all in skilled acquisition. China awards degree, or China gives diplomas on how to set tables, to dining tables. It's a skill. But I would suggest that we must bring back the policy focus more than ever before, that education should promote skill acquisition and employability.
However, the consistent decline in technical apprenticeship and artisanal products and services in Nigerian cities constitutes a bad omen for social economic development of the country. Artisanship no longer rescues the youths from gangsterism, drug abuse, crime, violence, and other vicious acts.
You see the amount of money we all spend now to bring skilled hands from neighboring countries. I mean, that already tells you that we already have a kind of leakage, financial leakage. I mean, money that should have been paid to Nigerian skilled artisans, we paid to skilled laborers who come from not just West Africa, but even from Europe. I mean, there are a lot of Chinese people bring here because they have the skills to work. The loss to the economy is enormous because we lose the opportunity cost of what skill they will, I mean, with the way they will have added value to the economy's loss because they are not properly engaged, and they can't be engaged if they don't have the skills. So I would say that the cost is enormous for a country, a developing country like ours. But I don't really want to put it on cost. I want to put it in a way that what could they have gained if we have really trained them? I think what we will have gained is that they will be able to add value, improve productivity, contribute to the gross domestic product of Nigeria. Whoever is employed will pay tax. Tax will improve the government revenue. Government revenue will boost our GDP or gross national product. You know, so I can say that we are losing billions.
Again, Nigerians can no longer find the joy in the works of Nigerian artisans and technicians, thereby turning to the labors from neighboring countries like Togo, Benin Republic, and Cameroon. Some of the factors that contribute to the decline in technical apprenticeship includes the increasing quest for formal education, get-rich-quick mentality, inconducive business environment, indolence, lack of respect for artisans and technicians in the society, and majorly lack of patronage.
When the universities were working, when they were not on strike, when students are at school, what are they learning? What skills do they have? How many of them can leave university and say we are on our own to have the skills? Or how many when they were in school have that skill?
No, there's no difference. This is just the practical aspect of what they teach us over there in school.
The only difference is that in school we do more of theories. But since I came here, I'm beginning to see the practical aspect of all that they've been teaching us in school. So
the government and citizens must therefore collaborate to work on these factors to put a stop to the decline of good and productive artisanship. This will definitely lead to the restoration of national development, grassroots empowerment, good security, and individual economic independence.
All right, that's from Dayo La, and I still have engineer Kazim Ali with me here, and former president of Koren. And I always want to ask, who are those, qualified to get the Koren certificates? I mean, can I apply?
Yes, you can.
I can?
Yes, anybody can apply.
But I may not get it.
Exactly. We have brought ourselves to a situation in Nigeria where we have created rules and regulations that kind of imprison us. For instance, there are certain things you want to do in your office, but the rule could say because of the value, the threshold, it has to go to forbidding and all manners of things.
Wow.
In the process, you find that you have to take it out. There's a perception of those who have technical training. It's as if they are subhumans or something. Whereas in other countries, even look, we have what we call International Engineering Alliance. which current subscribes to. We have within that platform, we have platform for engineers, platform for technologies, platform for technicians. We call the Washington Accord, the Dublin Accord, and the 3 accords that we have, all representing this. But do you know the interesting thing is that the people who even make more money in engineering practice are those in those lower rungs, because an engineer will get one commission that will take him a lot of time doing studies and design, can take a whole year or more. But the technician will get multiple jobs within that period, that the total sum will aggregate double of yours. So nobody looks down on them, and to the point that some of us are already beginning to look for skills to acquire in addition to. In fact, the president of NSC told me, they said that if I is learning how to do some basic work, he's an electrical engineer, so he wants to be an electrical technician, so that at least not only that he design, he can also earn extra money by implementing his design. So if the technicians don't want to do their job, the engineers are coming to learn those skills. And if one day you see someone who is a graduate, who has even a PhD, who is doing POP.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and it's quite good to know that there is need. You see it for you to ensure that the vocational education of a country moves forward. I'm glad that you're also taking steps to ensure that the state governors, federal governments come on board full time to help the vocational and training centers. All of us can enjoy that. I see lots of messages here, but I will not be able to take them right now. I will be leaving them to do justice to them first thing tomorrow before we go into the discussion proper. But whatever we do, just know that dignity in labor is important. And if you are a technical person, please, you don't need to be dirty. That's one of the things someone wrote here that makes people think, okay, the technical people are not as good as the BSc. White collar job is because their shirts are white. The other one, is it black collar job? Well, okay, blue, right? Okay. All right, I don't know. Whether it's gray, blue, red, whatever it is. Let's just do this again tomorrow. I'll see you. In his words again, God bless Nigeria.